to your committee to attend the zoning board commission presented to them. And,
It's the ceremony.
And that's why we had May 17th, right? Because that's a
well,
Zoom.
actually, Dick, do you have your calendar, what's the fourth Monday in May? I think that's not the,
Well, we can do a special meeting, I think we
we could
could.
do, you'd rather do a special call meeting, Dick?
I would.
I'm aiming to have a draft of the final report to hand out or to send you on the 12th. It'll be, it's not pearly prose. It will be accurate to what you said, I believe.
Just what is April 24th, so that I can see, 67, 45, that's the time.
Continue reviewing final recommendations and preview final report.
Yeah, so that is a question. I think we got that cleared last time, but Elizabeth gave us dinner, but then Scott said he would bring pizza for the next 3-hour endurance meeting.
Better be remembering.
Could be elk pizza?
Yeah, elk pizza.
If it's pizza, then it's anyone else.
Support a local pizza place. But thanks, everyone. I think this was a really, really good discussion, and this is where I think the process we have in saving this one was extremely valuable for our group, because A, we had a lot more knowledge, and B, I think we could navigate it a lot better. So I appreciate everyone's input. Any other discussion before I open it up to public comments?
Good meeting.
Okay, Dwayne, you're up.
Mike Crawford, 106 Cincy Highway 150 West. Y'all talked a lot about, you have brought up over and over again what I want to talk about. That's the USGS study from 1998. Marlene Sanford was here last meeting, Tree Big president, and she started a discussion about credibility. It's important to have credibility and have facts. Makes the discussion a lot easier. And as I've been listening here, I heard one individual talk about the flawed water study based on what Marlene said. We have a report that has no merit, and it's 10 years old. Somebody else said the report has no credibility. I've heard it mentioned in council meetings, and it's on and on. How many have read the USGS study? All right, good. I've got some excerpts from that study I'm going to hand out as I talk about this. This is not the entire study. I give you the cover page and a few pages from within the report that I'm going to refer to here. This is the one that's based on, because it's our current density limits. In this report, but actually, let's talk about what Marlene said first. Marlene said the USGS study is discredited because it didn't calculate septic recharge. It's been said many times here. And she gave a reason why they didn't include it, because it was left out because they didn't want people to freak out if they thought there was, they were drinking septic water. You all remember that. Okay, as a general rule, she said you can get away with 1 unit per acre. If you look at this report, and I'm giving you an excerpt, it's a 70-some page report, I'm just giving you excerpts. But if you look on page 56 in this report, it says, calculation number one, they give you 2 methods to calculate, as an example, recharge for a certain area. They said 1 unit per acre is what you arrive at if you use calculation number 1 for Guilford County. But if you take into account recharge, woods and old pasture, recharge is wonderful. Finely manicured lawns, not so much. So if you take into account finely manicured lawns, you arrive at a calculation of 2.34 acres per unit. It's really important though, I glossed over it. In the dependencies of this calculation, it says septic is returned to the groundwater. And for the purposes of this calculation that I just told you, they arrived at 2.34 units per acre. They assumed 100% recharge. It's in the report. They give you another method on page 58.
It wasn't carried through in the calculations. It wasn't carried through in the ultimate science and math.
So the report is not accurate, even though the report says this.
Well, the professor that taught the writers of the report has made that statement.
I'm getting to where you're at right now. They give another method for calculating, and it said it's for cluster development, off-site septic, and community wells. And your density ends up being even greater, 2.5 acres. And that is unless you have a lot of roads and a lot of other infrastructure, then you increase your density anymore. And that is in the USGS report that we've been told over and over again has been debunked. So I've left a voicemail from Harlan. Show me the facts. I heard Bob ask that question. How do we know this is being debunked? Right now, I haven't seen it.
Thank
And I
you.
think we need to see it.
Okay, and I did pause it while y'all were going back and forth. Okay, Teresa, you are next.
Carrie, can you pull up that map?
Teresa had asked me to bring a copy of that, and I didn't understand that it was for tonight, so I offered to something that we have online.
This is public records. This is that subdivision, I don't know if y'all knew, that got passed Monday night. And this is your ORSD. You got the actual house back?
I don't know if this is yours.
Well, this is 62 acres, this whole area. Now, I noticed that the zoning board had trouble with this last month. And what they were really considering was this Duke power line. And I think some of this is where it's going to come into play for y'all to help, is to put more teeth into the ORSD. Because OSRD. Because this is, you know, like you say, this is recharge area. But the thing is, now you're pushing all 42 homes to be on this side. And they've got lots that are the 15,000, there's 3 of them. So that's 3 houses on an acre. Like 3/4 of an acre.
The overall density
Right,
is
right,
that.
right, I was getting to that. But, so at this point, you've got some houses up here, and I had questions about slopes. And yeah, I mean, you're at 15,000, you can't build but such a big house. But with the slopes up on this area, you can build great walk-in basements. So you're going to increase the square footage of the home if you have basements. But it is overall density of the 7.3 acres. But like I said, I seen the struggle they had with it last month. I seen the struggle that they've had passing this with this month. And I really wish we had a map. Is it on?
It's
Is it
not,
on the
I
website?
looked and it's not there.
I apologize for not having the map. I had to,
Well, it's exactly the same except the lots are in there.
What's the overall density, isn't it like 0.62 per acre or 6.56?
Yeah, it's 0.67. It's a little bit less dense than the 0.73 that we require. You would have been allowed 45 lots and he's building 42. Actually 41 in this area, and this extra lot down here is number 42.
Is that what was changed from the first time they did it, presented it to the second time they presented it? I mean, what changed, what made them vote it down and then all of a sudden voted yes?
The way the septic areas were located, they added some
this
open
was
space.
trees, right? So they moved the septic from here to up here.
I mean,
That was the difference.
yeah, they moved septic areas up into here so that they would maintain more of those trees, putting off-site septic up here. They added more do not disturb open space along the road for a visual corridor, for visual buffer.
But if you see the way the houses are in there to me, this just doesn't look like Summerfield. So that might could be able to put some more teeth into the OSRD.
Thank you. David?
I'd just like to say that I'm encouraged from the discussion tonight and from the last meeting. Much of what I've heard you guys talk about in here are what I call enumerator discussion. It's all about how we make things nicer and we all want them nicer. How we want to protect everything that we have here in Summerfield. If we don't do something offer the variety of housing options in this community. I think Marlene pointed out from the fact that she kind of gave us a view of where that would leave us. In my opinion, that would leave us no longer being in control of kind of what happens. We'll have some things dictated to us. But I'm very encouraged by that. And what I'm hopeful of is what I call a denominator discussion. And that is that I'll go on record as saying I do agree that Summerfield needs to be an overall low-density community. I'm excited about that, and I think that's what our identity is. But there are pockets here that warrant a higher density, and I'm encouraged that the notion of an OSRD innovative program, where if you have a property that warrants something other than a cul-de-sac neighborhood that fits a currently defunct ordinance relative to its comprehensive plan, that you be encouraged, not only allowed to, but encouraged to use some innovation and some creativity in terms of how we go about supplying some of those housing options. And I think for the first time in the 33 years or so that I've been in the business, we've got the millennial and the empty nester really want the same thing. They want small and more affordable housing. They want something that typically is maintained or easier to maintain, where their resources go towards whatever their experience-based desires are, both for millennials and for empty nesters. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to explore that. I'm excited about the narrative in the room. And I think that we all are fearful of what we don't know. And I think a lot of what we don't know up here, and it would behoove us all to research what's happening nationally with the housing movement, where the trends are going, and to make sure that in all the great work that you guys are doing in exploration that you're doing, that I think, Bob, your comment tonight was that we be agnostic and allow the marketplace. The marketplace ultimately, no matter how much we all think we want to dictate or control or whatever else, the marketplace rules. And so long as we establish our desire base and what we want things to look like, and have it be accepting of a marketplace that absolutely will grow, and the banking industry will also have some dictatorial methods go along with that marketplace, and we'll all end up where I think we all envision something. But I want to personally thank each and every one of you, and Elizabeth, you for cooking, and there's a lot of hard work going into this.
Thank you. Chris Johnson.
I was debating on saying anything. You know, we offered up a station for y'all to come and meet at. I really appreciate y'all being here. And it's listening to y'all tonight was really good. The discussions, and I just want to say thank you for the ones that sat up there and said Summerfield is not for everybody. And as far as right now, what we have. We don't have a place for firefighters to live. 29 full-time firefighters work here. Of those 29, the ones that own their homes, there's only 3 of us that live in the town limits of Summerfield. 2 of them live on Summerfield Road. One granddaddy gave him, or bought his house from his granddaddy. The other one married a woman that already lived on Summerfield Road. The third one is myself. In 2002, me and my wife got married, and we was living on Pleasant Ridge Road, got my first house from my grandfather. Bought it for like $25,000 because I had to redo it. It was a rental house of his. So me and my wife was like, we want to grow out a family, we want to grow, and there was no place for us to buy. I was with the City of Greensboro Fire Department. The land right behind me was for sale. Couldn't afford it. And I tell you, we was looking at Rockingham County, me and my wife, and I was just a volunteer here. This was before I was paid chief here. And we was going to Rockingham County, and my parents, my mom and dad, my dad's no longer with us, but they gave my sister and myself part of the farm, which was Doggett Farm, where their grandparents, or my dad's grandparents, lived. And so they gave us a little less than 2 acres. And I built on one side of my mom and dad, my sister built on the other side of my mom and dad. That's the only reason we were able to live here in Summerfield. I had this discussion, people was asking me today about the UDO, how's it coming, and I didn't realize as many of the pay staff that I have that says, we've looked in Summerfield, there's nowhere. With this whole time of because they do want to live in a community. And the whole time we were sitting there talking, a deputy pulled up. He said, what y'all talking about? He said, yeah, me and my wife was looking at Summerfield. I learned real quick, this is our league. So I really appreciate the ones of y'all that sat here tonight and sat there and said, we need to have a little something different. These big houses, I'm sorry. I was here before the Henson Farms, all of them. I remember when I was walking my granddaddy service station right across the street when he was the very first chief here for 36 years. That's where I grew up in Summerfield. I would love for my daughter. And since then, I've been fortunate. My wife, I married a lucky woman. But thank y'all. I just want to say thank y'all for looking after the firefighters.
So one question, of those 29 firefighters, if they could afford to live here, how many of them would live here?
I would say I've heard from 6 of them that has looked.
That would like to be
Like
here.
you live here. And we have and I know my time, but
Yes, your question.
we have a program here, what's called as a callback. If we have a working incident, our pay staff can come back and they get paid $13 an hour to come back to fight fire, extrication, whatever. The problem is they don't live here in this community. The ones that live in Rockingham County, the ones that live the other side of Forsyth County in Kernersville, the other side of Guilford County, they don't come back. So if we had more firefighters living here, that means that more people, if your house catches on fire, it's more people I can put on the scene from Summerfield.
Yeah.
So I just thank y'all.
Okay. Don?
I'm just going to, my observation is a few comments, and if they don't make sense, it's the sentences. I'm just reading what I wrote down. And first of all, I do appreciate everything that everybody's doing here. I know everybody has a mission, everybody has a goal, and that's to try to make all this work. But what I wrote down here was, the crystal ball theories. I know we got to have some thoughts on how to make things work. As you look down the road, you don't always see how it's going to work. You discussed millennials and who wants to move here, baby boomers, trying to figure out what land use could or might be. And then there's a comment here I wrote. I said each person has their own bias, whether you know it or not. On the committee, you got realtor, bankers, builders, developers in the area here, and their natural thought process would be seeing out once Summerfield can be or possibly it does develop more, well, there's money there. That's natural. That's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. That's natural. One thing, zoning questions, what type of development? Basically, the land will dictate the use. That's the bottom line. Can't say build it and they will come. Developers will go broke, David. You go broke. And the market will dictate what gets built. Where, when, what, and how. And that's pretty well known. Each person has their passion and vision, but the bottom line is land use depends on multiple factors like roads, schools, water, and septic. That will dictate what can be built in Summerfield. That's all.
Okay, we'll see everyone on, what's that?
Sorry, rules of procedure, at least some.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? See everyone at the next meeting.